case of the United States versus AJ Exantis. If I can get both counsel to make appearances.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor, and members of the jury. My name is Becca Bainbridge, representing the United States of America.
Thank you. Defense.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Members of the jury, my name is Journey Marr, and today I'm representing the defendant, AJ Exantis.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Anything we need to take out before we move to opening statements from either side?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, we're ready to proceed.
Sounds good. The jury is with the government. You may open.
Yes, Your Honor. A rigged game is a real fraud. It's almost midnight. There are 2 players left in the Gladiator helmet tournament. Alex Wong has more than 17 million in chips. And the defendant? Less than 3. The crowd is behind a one-way glass. Silent. Watching. The game looks over. It should be over. But the defendant isn't worried. Because the defendant knows something that no one else at that table knows. The game is rigged. And a rigged game is a real fraud. Good afternoon. My name is Becca Bainbridge, and I stand here proud to represent the prosecution in today's case. Now today, our burden is to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed a fraudulent act in the course of gambling. That's our burden. And it's one that we're ready to meet. So let's take a step back. Before the final hand, before the big comeback, before the cards even hit the table. The Gladiator Casino wanted the biggest name in poker to headline their tournament. AJ Exantis. So they sent him an invite. And the defendant agreed. But he had conditions. No cameras, special equipment, and one non-negotiable demand. The dealer had to be someone named Tracy Hancock. So on April 19th, cards hit the table. 10 of the world's best players sat down. But only one of them knew what was really going on. So that takes us back to that final moment. There are 2 players left in the game. Alex Wong has over 17 million in chips, and the defendant has less than 3. And yet somehow, just 3 hands later, it's over. Now, you may not know much about poker, but you probably know that a full house, it's a good hand. Well, Alex Wong had one, and the defendant had one to beat it. 3 all-in hands, 3 wins, a perfect run. Or so it seemed. But after the tournament director, Lee Karthik, noticed something strange. One of the cards was bent. So she looked closer. And she noticed something shocking. Marks. Tiny symbols on the back of the card. Just enough to show their value. Then it all began to fall together. The evidence will show that the defendant tipped Tracy Hancock $50,000 right there at the table. And then, the defendant goes home and secretly wires Hancock another $750,000. Members of the jury, throughout this trial, I want you to remember 3 letters. R-I-G. First R, the requirement. Before the cards even hit the table, the defendant had one requirement. The dealer had to be Tracy Hancock. Second, the irregularities. After the tournament, people began to notice that things, they just didn't add up. One of the cards were marked, an entire deck is marked. Finally, G, the giveaway. A total of $800,000 sent from the defendant to Tracy Hancock. Members of the jury, this wasn't just a lucky night. The defendant didn't just win the game. He paid the dealer, marked the cards, and rigged the outcome. And a rigged game is a real fraud. So find the defendant guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Defense wish to open?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
A plan no player would bet. Members of the jury, in a game of poker, everything comes down to the odds. Every hand is a calculation of risk, reward, and probability. But cheating in a major poker tournament, that's a risk that not every player would take. And members of the jury, the plan for rigging that the plaintiff is claiming in this case, that's a plan no player would have bet. But before I get further into that, I want you to meet A.J. Exantis for yourself. Members of the jury, this is A.J. Exantis. He's a professional poker player, a World Series champion, and the #1 ranked player in the whole world. Today you'll learn that last year at the Helmet 2024, he was invited to participate in the most exclusive tournament in the world. You're going to hear that that night of the tournament, Mr. Exantis won. He walked away with a $15 million prize that he earned. But instead of acknowledging him, instead of commending him, instead of congratulating him, the plaintiff accused him of gambling fraud. See, when the plaintiff decided to accuse Mr. Exantis of that claim, they took on what's called the burden of proof. That means they have to prove to you, more likely than not, that Mr. Exantis actually intentionally cheated in the Helmet 2024. Members of the jury, you're going to hear a lot of theories the plaintiff has for this case. And you're going to see that not one of them is supported by the evidence. See, today, you're going to learn that no poker player would be foolish enough to make the mistakes and the plans that the plaintiff is accusing Mr. Exantis of for 3 simple reasons. First, Mr. Exantis couldn't win with a marked card. Second, he couldn't count on a phone. And third, the only proof of trick dealing in this case is coming from a convicted felon. I'm going to walk through those one at a time, starting with that first one. Mr. Exantis couldn't win with a marked card. Members of the jury, we agree with the plaintiff. A marked deck was absolutely used throughout the tournament. But today you're going to learn that that marked card, Mr. Exantis could only see it from 3 to 4 feet away. You're going to see that for more than half the tournament, players were seated farther away than that, and you're going to learn that Mr. Exantis didn't even know that marked cadet was in the game. And that brings me to that next point. He couldn't rely on a phone. Members of the jury, today, the rules of the Gladiator Casino's helmet tournament are going to show you that one thing was clear. Devices were banned. You're going to learn that no player would be foolish enough to make a plan that couldn't even get past the doors of the helmet tournament. And that brings me to that final point. The only proof of trick dealing in this case is coming from a convicted felon. Members of the jury, you're going to hear from the dealer of the helmet tournament. Opposing counsel, they're going to try to convince you, oh, that dealer, he rigged the game in Mr. Exantis' favor. But you're also going to learn that the reason that dealer is here in court today is because the plaintiff is taking 10 years off of his gambling fraud sentence for testifying against Mr. Exantis. Members of the jury, you're going to hear that that unreliable testimony is not enough to meet the plaintiff's burden. See, at the end of today's trial, what happened in this case will be clear. There wasn't any rigging. There wasn't any plan because the plaintiff's theory. It's a plan no player would bet. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
Your Honor,
Yes.
apologies. Before proceeding with the plaintiff's case in chief, in accordance with your pretrial order number 4, only Mr. Exantis can be seated at counsel table here in court today. And therefore, I simply ask that the plaintiff's witness step back from their counsel table.
Correct. Do you agree?
Yes, Your Honor, this is my second chair.
Okay. Can we get both advocates just to come back and meet with Justin real quick to discuss that particular point? All right, we've heard both openings. Does the government wish to call any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution calls Lee Carpet to the stand.
Great.
Permission to proceed?
You may.
Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the court?
Hello, my name is Lee Garthik.
And what do you do for a living, Miss Carpet?
I am the Gladiator gaming director at Gladiator Casino.
And what does that job entail?
It involves running all casino events, but also it is scanning for security and catching fraud within the casino.
And how long have you been working in the casino industry?
I know I don't look like it, but 32 years.
And do you have any specific experience in detecting poker fraud?
Yes, I actually caught 14 cheaters in my time, but also I take seminars on how to detect and catch poker cheating.
Alright, so based on your training, What are the ways that people would typically commit cheating?
Usually 3 ways. It is with marked cards, trick dealing, or technology.
And what were you asked to do in this case?
I was the one who watched the helmet tournament in 2024, and I'm the one who launched investigation against AJ Xantes once I find marked cards.
And what facts and data did you rely on in coming to your conclusion?
I used the marked cards I confiscated, evidence I found within my investigation, and also interviews I conducted with 9 players and a few other people.
Is that the same type of information reasonably relied on by other experts in your field?
Yes.
Did you apply reliable principles and methods in this case?
Yes.
Your Honor, I now tender this witness as an expert in the field of casino operations and poker fraud detection.
Okay, the record will so reflect unless there's an objection.
Your Honor, I wouldn't object to that first expertise, but specifically to the witness being tendered in poker fraud detection.
Okay, what is your response to that?
Yes, Your Honor, this witness has specifically stated that she's been working in the casino industry for 32 years. Additionally, she took seminars on how to detect poker training, intense seminars that were 2 days long. Your Honor, that is enough evidence for her to have more knowledge than the average juror under Rule 702.
Okay, response?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, for this witness to be tendered in a field like fraud, she would have to have some sort of legal expertise as to the nature of a fraudulent claim. But at this point, we've heard no evidence that this witness has specifically testified against any of those cheaters opposing counsel just mentioned she referred to. And before any of that specific expertise to her legal understanding of fraud, she just can't be tendered in that field.
Okay, I think, do you have any response to that, I guess, before I rule? I'll give you one last shot.
Yes, Your Honor, I would contend that this witness has testified that she has caught 14 cheaters in her line of work, so that is enough evidence to prove that she does have experience in detecting poker fraud.
Okay, I think what we'll do is I will overrule the objection, but I will give a limiting instruction that the jury is not to take any testimony from this witness as a legal conclusion to fraud, just only insofar as her factual findings or based on her experience.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, now, Ms. Karthik, I want to cut to the chase. Did you discover cheating in the Helmet 2024 tournament?
Yes.
Based on your investigation, who cheated?
Just like my 7th ex-husband, AJ Xantes.
Do you see that person anywhere in this courtroom?
Yes.
Could you please point him out?
He's sitting right over there in the white t-shirt.
Let the record reflect the witness has correctly identified the defendant.
So reflect.
All right, now, Ms. Karthik, I want to talk about your investigation. What were the reasons for coming to your conclusion?
Well, actually, during my investigation, I came up with this. I came up with rig, requirements, irregularities, and giveaway. And that was how I was able to identify AJ Xantes.
I want to start with that first one, the requirement. Now, who was the dealer in this case?
That would be Tracy Hancock.
And why was Hancock the dealer?
AJ Xantes had emailed that he wanted him.
Would you recognize a copy of that email if I were to show it to you?
Yes.
Let the record reflect I am approaching the witness with a copy of approaching opposing counsel with a copy of Exhibit 1. Permission to approach the witness.
You may.
Ms. Karthik, I'm now showing you a copy of Exhibit 1. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
This is email between me and the AJ Xantes in February regarding terms for the 2024 helmet.
Is it a fair and accurate copy?
Yes.
Your Honor, I now move to enter Exhibit 1 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection as per Rule 801D2, Your Honor.
Sounds good. We'll accept Exhibit 1.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, could you briefly tell us what the terms that the defendant gave you were?
Yes, AJ Xantes wants no cameras. He wanted Tracy Hancock to deal and provide setup and chips. He wanted there to be headphones and to double the entry fee from $1 million to $2 million.
All right, now I want to focus specifically on the second point, the second question, for Tracy Hancock to be the dealer and provide the setup. What does setup mean in this case?
It would be cards and the chips there, but I didn't agree to the chips. I wanted to use Gladiator, so I only agreed to cards.
Was there anything significant about the setup in this case?
Yes, upon my investigation, I looked at the card I confiscated and the entire deck, and I realized they were all marked.
Would you recognize that card if I were to show it to you?
Yes.
Let the record reflect I am showing opposing counsel a copy of Exhibit 5. Permission to approach the witness.
You may.
Ms. Karthik, I'm now showing you Exhibit 5. Do you recognize this?
Da.
Is this the card that you confiscated from that table?
Yes.
Your Honor, I now move to enter Exhibit 5 into evidence.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Sounds good, we'll accept Exhibit 5.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Karthik, what is significant about this card?
Well, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, there's the marking. It says A and heart. And if you look at the back, that is exactly what the card is. This is a marked card. And what this is classic sign of cheating. And I confiscated it because you see little damage right here.
All right, now next I want to talk about the irregular gameplay. Did you notice anything strange about the defendant's gameplay in this case?
Yes. I've watched Exantis play hundreds of times, online, in person, but April 19th, he was playing so differently. He was targeting people to his left and right.
And how was the defendant performing against those players?
Terrific. I mean, he was calling their bluffs, bluffing successfully himself. It was as if he knew what they had.
And how did the defendant perform after that marked deck was removed?
Not well. Chips were dwindling. He started entering less hands. He was starting to lose.
All right, could you briefly describe for us what happened in the final hands?
Yes. See, AJ Exantis, he got pocket aces, best hand in poker. Alex Wong got pocket kings, second best hand in poker. So AJ Exantis win. But then it happened again. I've never in my 32 years have seen this happen, where Alex Wong gets second best hand and the AJ Exantis gets first best hand. And then he gets stronger full house, he wins the game.
All right, now I want to talk about the final point, the giveaway. Did you notice anything after the game that the defendant did?
Yes, the AJ Exantis, you say, very expressionless, just kind of calmly sat there, and he tipped the Tracy Hancock $50,000. I've never seen that much money before, not even from alimony. But then in investigation, I find another payment.
What was that other payment?
It was wire transfer for $750,000.
Objection, Your Honor, as to hearsay under Rule 801, may I explain?
Sure.
Now, Your Honor, this witness specifically referred to a wire transfer for $750,000. Now, at this point, we haven't actually seen what record that witness reviewed to find that wire transfer. And Your Honor, it's our contention that until the foundation is laid for that record, this absolutely is an out-of-court statement being used for the truth of the matter asserted.
Okay. Response?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm happy to enter that exhibit into evidence.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's do that.
Motion to strike that testimony, Your Honor.
Yeah, we'll see if you have any issues with the record itself, and then we'll let it stand. But so let her enter the exhibit first.
Let the record reflect I am handing a copy to opposing counsel. Permission to approach the witness.
You may.
Ms. Karthik, I'm now showing you Exhibit 7. Do you recognize this?
Yes,
Is it a fair and accurate copy?
yes.
What is it?
This is the records I found from AJ Exantis' bank account, where he transferred Tracy Hancock 2 days after tournament $750,000.
Your Honor, I now move to enter Exhibit 7 into evidence.
Do you have any issue with Exhibit 7 being entered?
No issue with the actual exhibit. However, I would request that opposing counsel lay a little bit more foundation that that exhibit actually is a fair and accurate copy of how it was since the last time that witness has seen it.
Okay, I'm satisfied with the answer so far that that's been satisfied, so we'll accept the exhibit. Exhibit 7 is entered.
Yes, Your Honor. All right, now Ms. Karthik, throughout your investigation, did you ever try to contact the defendant himself?
Yes, he didn't want to talk to me.
How cooperative was the defendant in your investigation overall?
Not at all. I had to subpoena all his records. I mean, every other player, not only they talked to me, but they let me search through their phone. Alex Wong, Walensky, Lester, the whole list. They all were talking to me.
So after all of this, after the requirement, the irregularities, and the giveaway, how much did the defendant end up walking away with?
He walked away with $15 million.
Thank you, Ms. Karthik. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Great. Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
You'd agree that you're the gaming director at the Gladiator Casino, right?
Correct.
And as the gaming director at that casino, it's your job to protect the integrity of your games.
That is correct.
Ma'am, you investigated what happened in the Helmet 2024, right?
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about your investigation. Now, it's true that you have 3 theories about how Mr. Exantis could have cheated in that tournament, right?
I found evidence he cheated 3 ways.
And you believe in all 3 of those ways, right?
Yes, I conducted an investigation for it.
Ma'am, I want to talk more about those 3 beliefs. Now, one of the ways you think Mr. Exantis cheated was by reading a marked deck, right?
Yes.
You'd agree that Mr. Exantis didn't specifically ask you for a marked deck to be used.
No, he asked for Tracy Hancock to provide the cards, and that's how they got in.
Didn't specify that those cards should be marked, right?
No.
You'd agree that you didn't find any online communication between Mr. Exantis and the dealer, right?
No, it wasn't necessary.
Ma'am, you don't think any online communication was necessary in your investigation?
Well, no, because he asked for a request, then they worked together in tournament, and then he paid him $800,000.
Ma'am, you say they worked together in the tournament, but it's true that you can't identify a specific meeting that they had in person where they planned to work together.
I did not find an investigation.
So you can't tell the members of the jury where that meeting could have happened.
No.
Can't tell them a specific date that meeting happened, right, ma'am?
No.
And you didn't find any text messages where they planned to commit this crime together.
They didn't need text message, no.
Ma'am, you didn't find that, right?
No.
I'm going to talk about what Mr. Exantis couldn't do with those marked cards. Ma'am, looking at the marking on that card in front of you, you'd agree it's pretty small.
It is, but AJ Xanthus could see it 3 to 4 feet away.
Ma'am, is it your testimony today that you know Mr. Exantis could see that card from 3 to 4 feet away?
Listen, if you look at the marking, you're able to see who has next to it.
Sir, excuse me, ma'am, redirect you back to my question. Is it your testimony today that you know how far away Mr. Exantis can see that card?
I'm telling jury based on experience I have in poker business.
But you don't know that for certain, right?
I'm not Mr. Exanthus.
So that's a yes.
Correct.
Ma'am, you'd agree that at the Helmet tournament that night, every player was spaced an equal distance apart, right?
That is correct.
You'd agree that as players were eliminated, they got farther and farther apart, right?
Yes, as AJ Xanthus eliminated them, he was eliminating right and left players only.
So, ma'am, you'd agree that as players got farther apart, it might be more difficult to read the marking on that card, right?
Well, I don't know. If you knew there's markings, I can't tell you what that could look like.
Ma'am, you just testified how far you thought Mr. Exantis could read that marking, right?
That is correct. In first half, AJ Xanthus was never more than less than 3 feet away from
Your
people
Honor,
next to him.
at this time, I would motion to strike the witness's answer after yes as non-responsive.
I think she's trying to explain. We'll let her answer.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, ma'am, it's true that you just testified about how far you thought Mr. Exantis could see those cards, right?
Yes, and never were there players next to him that were less than 3 feet away in first half.
Ma'am, you'd agree that if you believe Mr. Exantis can only see that marking from 4 feet away, it would be more difficult for him to see it from 5 feet away, right?
I mean, I'm not Mr. Exantis, but if you know there's markings and the people are seating next to you, it's easier to see the people next to you.
You don't know if it's easier to see those markings across the table, right?
It would probably be harder.
Ma'am, I want to talk about something else you mentioned on direct examination. Now, you mentioned 3 poker hands you saw that night, right?
Correct.
Ma'am, you'd agree that you didn't find communication between Mr. Exantis and the dealer where he asked him to trick deal, right?
No, but you see, this case is like Russian nesting doll. You find one thing, another thing pops out. You find one thing, another thing pops out. One thing I found, $800,000, is that is the tie between AJ Exantis and Tracy Hancock, along with the email asking for him.
Your Honor, I would certainly motion to strike the witness's answer after yes is not responsive.
I agree. We'll strike everything after no.
So that's a yes to my question. You didn't find communication between the dealer and Mr. Exantis, that he asked the dealer to trick deal, right?
No, it wasn't needed.
Ma'am, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
I have no redirect, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Carthy. You can step down. Any further witnesses from the government?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the prosecution calls Tracy Hancock to the stand.
Great.
Permission to proceed?
You may.
Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the court?
Good afternoon. My name's Tracy Hancock.
And could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been a professional dealer since '92 of cards, that is, not the other kind. And I've done all the best tournaments, the Helmet, the World Poker Tour, and of course the World Series.
All right, now, Mr. Hancock, I want to cut to the chase. Are you receiving anything in exchange for your testimony today?
I am. After I helped out AJ Exantis win the Helmet tournament last year, I decided to restart my life and go on the run. Unfortunately, last month, the FBI caught me and charged me with conspiracy and felony gambling fraud. So I took a deal with them, reducing my sentence to probation and not only being charged with alterations of gambling equipment.
And now you mentioned the defendant. Do you see him anywhere in this courtroom today?
I do.
Could you please point him out for us?
Yes, he's sitting right over there in the white shirt.
Let the record reflect the witness has correctly identified the defendant.
It will so reflect.
All right, now, Mr. Hancock, could you tell us how you met the defendant?
Yeah, so I've known AJ professionally as I've been dealing since 1992, but I only interacted with him, last year at the Free Roll Poker Club in Atlanta.
What did that interaction involve?
So Mr. Exantis approached me and he offered me $750,000 to cheat in that year's Helmet Poker tournament.
What was your reaction to that?
I was all in. I mean, I've lost $200,000 betting on the big three: football, basketball, and AMTA mock trial competitions. So I needed some cash, and if he was going to pay me $750,000, I was going to take it.
All right, now let's talk about April 19th specifically. Could you tell us, when did the game begin on that day?
It began around 5 p.m. I arrived a little bit before with my marked deck of cards and started the setup.
All right, so could you tell us how the first few hours went?
Yeah, so I was dealing with my marked deck of cards. I dealt normally, didn't try to manipulate the deck at that point. I was just giving the marked deck out, and AJ was supposed to know what these markings would show and then use that to his advantage.
And was your plan succeeding?
I mean, it sure looked like it. AJ was up $8 million by 9 p.m. when the marked deck was eventually removed.
All right, so you mentioned that the marked deck was removed. Did that affect your plan?
It sure did. I mean, we had always planned for a fail-safe in case the marked deck ended up being removed, but at that point, I did have to pivot.
All right, so how did you pivot?
Well, at first, I kind of just let things be. I thought that AJ would figure it out, especially since he told me that he had another fail-safe involving technology. I never asked about it since I'm just trying to make my cash and not make the next Danny Ocean movie, but I thought he would just take that and roll with it.
All right, so what happened?
Well, he didn't go through on that plan, as it seemed to me. he started losing, and by 11:55 p.m., he was down to just $2.7 million in chips.
So how did the game progress after that? Did the plan succeed?
Well, look, if AJ Xantis lost that game, I wasn't getting my $750,000. And so I decided to go with phase 2 of our plan, which was to trick deal him cards.
And did that work?
Yes, it did. I dealt him first pocket aces over pocket kings, and then proceeded to trick deal 2 more hands so he could win the tournament.
So who ended up winning the tournament?
Mr. Xantis did.
And Mr. Hancock, did you ever receive the compensation for that?
I did. I guess AJ was feeling a little generous at the table when he won, since he tipped me $50K right then and there. But I did get that later payment of $750,000 2 days later. So a nice $50K bonus for my hard work helping him win.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, sounds good. Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I want to talk about why you're here testifying for the prosecution. Now, you mentioned during direct examination, sir, you were on the run, right?
I was. That $750,000 was enough to pay off my debts to the loan sharks and then start a new life, hopefully in Hawaii.
Sir, you were charged with gambling, right?
I was.
Sir, you mentioned that the prosecution, they're allowing you not to be charged with that crime anymore now that you're here testifying for them, right?
Yes, in exchange for telling the truth about what I did, I won't receive that charge anymore.
But sir, on direct examination, you didn't mention that gambling fraud carries a 10-year sentence, right?
Well, I mentioned that it carries a 10-year sentence that was reduced to probation with the lesser charge.
That's right, sir. It carries a 10-year sentence that you now don't have to worry about because you're here testifying for the prosecution.
Yes, by telling the truth, I don't have to worry about that sentence.
Sir, I want to talk about whether or not you're actually telling the truth to get out of prison. Now, you'd agree that you testified that you had a meeting with Mr. Xantis.
I did meet with him on February 3rd of last year.
You claim you had lunch with him, right?
Yeah, we went out to lunch at Twain's where he gave me the whole rundown of what we were going to do.
Sir, you can't show us any communication you had with Mr. Xantis planning that supposed meeting.
I don't. He just came up and approached me in Atlanta, and it was pretty impromptu.
You can't show us a recording of him telling you, I want to meet with you, right?
I can't. It was all in person, preventing a trail. We just did it then and there.
Sir, you certainly can't give us a receipt from your lunch meeting that day.
No, I didn't keep it. It was over a year ago.
Sir, just to be clear, you can't tell us any other people who could corroborate that you actually met with Mr. Xantis that day.
I guess I couldn't. I mean, I don't really remember who was there that day.
So that's a yes to my question. You can't tell us anyone else who saw that meeting.
I cannot.
Sir, I want to talk about that supposed plan you had. Now, you also agree that Mr. Xantis, you claim he said there would be a fail-safe in your plan, right?
He did say that.
That fail-safe would be supposedly trick dealing if the marked cards didn't work out.
Well, the failsafe he mentioned to me involved technology and another accomplice. The trick dealing was supposed to be phase 2 of the plan in case the marked cards didn't work out.
Sir, just to be clear, those marked cards were removed 4 hours into the tournament, right?
Miss Carpet removed my deck.
But sir, when those cards were removed, you didn't start trick dealing right then.
Well, no. At first I thought I could use the backup deck of marked cards I brought because I'm not a rookie. But I decided that Xantis would probably be able to win on his own, given he had that other fail-safe he mentioned.
Sir, you said you're not a rookie. So you would say that you've used marked cards before?
I'm not a rookie when it comes to $750,000.
Sir, you're not a rookie when it comes to bringing in extra marked cards.
Yes, I mean, I wanted to earn my money, so if I had to bring another deck just in case, I was going to do that.
You'd also agree that an hour after that marked deck was removed, you hadn't started trick dealing?
I had not at that point because Mr. Xantis wasn't yet in danger of losing.
2 hours after that mark deck was removed, you didn't start trick dealing?
I did not.
Sir, the first time you started trick dealing was after Mr. Xantis had already lost the majority of his pot, right?
Yeah, and he was about to lose, so if I didn't do something, I wasn't seeing my money.
Sir, you certainly didn't think to do something before that, right?
I didn't. I thought he would use his other fail-safe to pull it off, but I realized that I needed to take action.
Just to be clear, that other fail-safe you're talking about, during that tournament, you didn't see Mr. Xantis with a phone, right?
I didn't really know what it was. I didn't ask about it like I previously said.
You didn't see him with any electronic devices.
I didn't.
Sir, you'd agree that during that tournament, you didn't see Mr. Xantis communicating with anyone else besides those other players.
Yeah, he didn't have anything on him but the glasses. I didn't see anything like that.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Thank you, counsel. Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hancock, you are excused.
At this time, Your Honor, the prosecution rests.
All right, thank you. Defense, do you wish to put on a case?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, the defense calls A.J. Xantis to the stand.
Okay.
Your Honor, before proceeding, permission to set up as demonstrative
Of
for
course.
the jury?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Of course.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sir, please introduce yourself to the members of the jury.
Well, my name is AJ Xantis. I'm 56 years old, and I've been playing poker since I was 19.
You just said you were playing poker since you were 19, sir. Could you tell the members of the jury how you first got into the game?
Well, I've been playing professionally since I was 19. When I was 7, my grandparents would always play poker with me at the dinner table, and eventually it evolved into a career, I guess.
Well, sir, what kind of career have you had since the dinner table?
Well, I've won over $75 million in taxable income. I've won over 100 tournaments. I could name them all, but the list keeps going on, and a pretty successful career.
I want to talk about why you're here in court today. Sir, were you here throughout the entirety of today's trial?
Yes, I was.
Did you hear the prosecution claim that you cheated in the Helmet 2024?
I did. Honestly, it's absolutely ridiculous that I'm even here. I mean, you don't call up Frank Sinatra to come sing for you and get mad he hit all the notes. I'm the best player in the world.
Sir, you just said you're the best player in the world. Are you recognized as the best player in the world in the poker industry?
Yeah, most people would consider me the best.
I want to talk about the plaintiff's theories in this case. Mr. Xantis, you just said you were here throughout the entirety of today's trial. Did you hear Lee Karthik testify today?
I did.
Did you hear her say that you rigged the Helmet tournament?
I did, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I've been playing my whole life. I have no reason to cheat. I know I can win.
Sir, I want to break down the plaintiff's theory. Now, first, I want to start about those requests that the plaintiff mentioned that are in their rig. Now, sir, did you make any requests before joining the Helmet tournament?
Yeah, Karthik had emailed me basically begging me to participate, because I never had, because the World Series tournament runs around the same time. He emailed me and I said, to get me to play, here are a few things that I want, and we negotiated a little bit.
Sir, were any of those requests demands for the Helmet tournament?
Not at all. He emailed me back, we made an agreement, none of them were mandatory.
Let's talk about those cards that we heard about. Now, sir, do you see Exhibit 5 sitting right in front of you?
I do.
What is that? Could you tell the members of the jury?
This is one of the marked cards that was on the table that night.
Sir, did you personally request that that marked deck be used?
No. In fact, I've never spoken to Hancock. I heard him say we met at Twain's in Atlanta, but I live in Brooklyn. I mean, I don't know where he's getting that from.
Sir, I want to talk about whether or not you could have actually won with those cards. Now, could you flip in your evidence binder to what's been pre-marked as Exhibit 3?
Okay?
What is that you're looking at?
This is a map of all the players that were at the table that night.
Sir, is it a fair and accurate copy of the table that night?
Looks like it.
Does it fairly represent how each player was seated?
Yep.
Has it been changed or altered in any way since you've last seen it?
Not that I can tell.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense offers Exhibit 3 into evidence.
Okay, any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
Sounds good, we'll accept Exhibit 3.
Your Honor, permission for my witness to step down and present a demonstrative opposing counsel's already reviewed?
For sure.
Sir, could you please step down? Sir, I want to talk about how you were playing the night of the tournament. Could you tell the members of the jury what they're currently looking at?
Well, this is a map of all the players that were in the tournament that night, all 10 of us.
Sir, where were you seated at the table that night?
As you can see, my name is right here next to Osborne, Lester, Cash, Morris.
We heard earlier today, every player at that table was seated equally apart. Sir, how big is this helmet table?
It's standard size, 7 feet long. If I lay across it, I really wouldn't fit, but 7 feet long, 40 inches wide, 20 feet circumference.
Sir, did every single player in the tournament remain in these exact positions throughout the whole night?
No, of course not. In poker, as people are eliminated, we move the chairs so that everyone's relatively evenly spaced apart.
Sir, just to make sure the members of the jury understand, could you show them what this table looked like when, say, 6 players were eliminated?
Sure. Morris, Cash, Spring, Lewis, Lester. She's nuts. She lost that. Looks about right.
Sir, when there were 4 players left just like this, about how far were each player seated from one another?
Say just about 5 feet or so.
Sir, could you grab that marked deck from your witness stand? Your Honor, permission to utilize a measuring tape opposing counsel's already been able to review?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sir, how far away can you see the marking on this card?
About 3 to 4 feet.
I'm going to hand you this measuring tape. Could you actually come up here for the members of the jury? I'm going to hand you this measuring tape, sir. I want you to stop me when I get about 5 feet away.
Good.
Sir, you testified you were sitting 5 feet from each of these individual players. Can you see the marking on this card from 5 feet away?
No. Maybe I can see it this way. Not sure.
Thank you, sir. You can take your seat now. I'm going to talk about something else that we heard in this case. Sir, were you here for the testimony of Tracy Hancock?
I was.
Did you hear Mr. Hancock testify that you paid him to trick deal?
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Sir, you said it's ridiculous. Have you ever had a private conversation with Mr. Hancock?
No, like I said, I live in Brooklyn. He's claiming that I met him in Atlanta. I don't even think you could take the subway to Atlanta.
Sir, we heard that you tipped Mr. Hancock in the tournament. Did you know Mr. Hancock was trick dealing when you tipped him?
No, I mean, he was just a dealer.
Why did you tip
Mr. Hancock in that tournament?
Well, I'm always a big tipper, and once I had given him the $50,000 chip at the table, I realized that was a little bit under 1%. So I thought about it overnight, I thought about it the next day, and then I was like, maybe he deserves a little more. So I gave him the 5%.
Sir, we heard today the plaintiff claim that you rigged that tournament to win. Is that true?
Not at all. I have no reason to cheat. When you're the best in the world, skill might look like cheating, but it's not.
Sir, did you cheat in the Helmet 2024?
No.
Thank you for your testimony today, sir. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Great. Ross?
Yes, Your Honor, permission to proceed.
You may. Would you like this left in the well, or do you want her to take this down?
I'd like it to be taken down.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Exantis.
Good afternoon.
Now, I appreciate you being cooperative. I appreciate you answering some questions today, but you weren't as cooperative in April of 2024, were you?
What do you mean by that?
Well, the casino, they asked to interview you, right?
Oh, yes, they did.
And you refused.
Didn't think it was necessary. I mean, I met the guy once, Karthik, and now he's trying to get me to come all the way back down to Atlanta to talk to him. Maybe he paid for my flight. I mean, it's crazy.
So that's a yes to my question, you refused.
I refused.
They asked for your phone records.
Yeah.
You refused.
It was unnecessary to give it to him. Why should he have my phone records?
So that's a yes to my question.
That's a yes to your question.
They asked for your bank records.
They did.
You refused.
Again, it was completely unnecessary.
You fought all of their subpoenas.
I didn't fight them. I just didn't give them what they wanted.
All right, well, a judge had to force you to hand over those records.
True.
All right, now I want to talk about some other things that you were trying to hide from the plaintiff, or from the prosecution.
Objection, Your Honor, as to attorney testifying may explain.
Sure.
Now, Your Honor, this witness didn't specifically testify that he was trying to hide any of the information the opposing counsel just asked him about. So therefore, for her to say, let's talk about other things you were trying to hide, that's attorney testifying. She's essentially testifying that the witness just said he tried to hide that information.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm not testifying for this witness. I'm simply laying out what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's on the line, it's argument. You don't like it, but that's why she's saying it. So I'll allow it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. All right, so Mr. Exantis, I want to talk about some other things you were trying to hide from the prosecution. Now, you have a good friend named Wade Cowan, right?
I wasn't trying to hide anything, but yes, I do have a friend, Wade Cohen. He's my protege. I teach him poker.
He's a close friend.
It's pretty close, yeah.
And you were deposed on March 25th, 2025, right?
Yes, I was.
And in that deposition, you were asked if you knew anyone in the audience on April 19th.
I was, and at the time, I wasn't really thinking, and I said no. But then later on, I realized that Cohen was in the audience, so I corrected.
That's right, you told them no.
Like I just said, I corrected it afterwards.
So that was a lie.
No.
You're saying it wasn't a lie to directly contradict the truth?
It wasn't a lie, it was a mistake. I mean, it happens all the time. I said one thing, I realized, oh, I'm wrong. I fixed it.
Oh, so you're saying you forgot about Wade, your close friend?
Correct. I'm
The same
56.
Wade who drove you to the casino that day?
Correct.
The same Wade who drove you back that day?
I'm 56. It's kind of gone.
So that's a yes to my question. All right, now finally, we've heard a lot today about Tracy Hancock, and I want to touch on that point. Now, you're familiar with Lee Karthik, right?
I am. It's the gaming director.
Lee Karthik is the one who invited you to the tournament.
Invited. Begged me.
That's right, your response was basically, I've got some conditions.
Yes, I set forth some conditions that were met, for the most part.
But one of those conditions was that Tracy Hancock be the dealer.
Yes.
But you not only wanted Hancock as a dealer, you also wanted Hancock to provide the setup.
Well, I felt it was customary that since he was going to be the dealer, that he provide the setup. In most large poker games, that's how it usually works.
All right, but you're now aware Hancock brought this.
The marked deck.
That's right, so you specifically request that Hancock be the dealer and he just happens to show up with a marked deck?
And I mean, he almost went to prison for it, yeah.
So that's a yes to my question, he showed up with a marked deck?
Yeah.
All right, now after the tournament, you were really appreciative of Mr. Hancock, weren't you?
I was appreciative because the cards that I haven't dealt were pretty lucky cards, and I'm pretty superstitious about the people that I'm around.
That's right, you paid him $50,000 right there at the table.
Like most winners, you tip the deal at the table, so I did.
Now, that's the biggest tip you've ever given.
For the biggest prize I've ever won.
But that's the biggest tip you've ever seen anyone give.
For one of the biggest prizes I've seen anyone get.
That's a yes to my question.
Yes.
Right, but then you went home and you decided that the biggest tip, it just wasn't big enough, right?
Yeah, I realized that it was just under 1%, and that's not really right for someone that dealt with all these people for like 10 hours at the table. So 2 days later, I gave him the 5.
That's right, so you sent Hancock another $750,000.
Yeah.
You sent that money to the same person who you specifically requested.
Yes.
The same person who showed up with a marked deck.
That I had nothing to do with? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Exantis. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Sir, I want to talk a little bit about the audience at the helmet tournament. Now, sir, we just heard opposing counsel bring up someone that you knew in the audience. Could you tell the members of the jury why you forgot about Mr. Cohen when you were interviewed?
Well, when they had asked me about Cohen, I wasn't really thinking about it. I mean, they had been asking me a long list of questions. I was there for hours. I had been waiting outside for hours. And at 56, I don't really remember every little detail.
Sir, when you realized that you were mistaken, did you correct yourself?
Immediately. As soon as they asked a question that related to Cohen, I was like, oh, Cohen was there too.
I want to make something very clear, sir. Before you tipped the dealer, were you aware that he was doing anything illegal?
No, not at all.
Sir, if you had known that that dealer brought a marked deck, would you have ever tipped him?
No, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I don't do cheating.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Great. Any recross based on that?
No recross, Your Honor.
Okay. Then we'll excuse Mr. Exantis. Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor, at this time, the defense press.
Okay, great. We ready to go into closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, proceed when ready.
A rigged game is a real fraud. This case really comes down to trust. When you sit down at a poker table, you trust that the game is fair. You trust that the cards aren't marked. You trust that the dealer isn't bought. But the defendant sat at that table for hours, looking 9 people in the eye, knowing that he had an unfair advantage, knowing that the cards were marked, knowing that the dealer was his accomplice. Members of the jury, that is real fraud. It's gambling fraud. As the judge will instruct you in a few moments, we bear the burden of proof in this case. We must prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed a fraudulent act in the course of gambling. We've proven that today. So let's return to those 3 letters I mentioned earlier. First R, the requirement. Before the cards even hit the table, the defendant made one requirement. The dealer had to be Tracy Hancock. Not some world-class dealer, it had had to be Hancock. Why? Well, because as Mr. Hancock told you today, he wasn't just dealing the cards. He was dealing with the defendant. He was his partner in crime. But the defendant didn't just ask that Tracy Hancock deal. He also asked that he provide his cards. That he bring this. A marked card. A marked deck. A cheat deck. Members of the jury, every single card in this deck was marked. Every single card. Second I. The irregularities. What does the defendant do when this marked deck is in play? Well, exactly what you'd expect. He plays only to the people to his right and left. Why? Well, because he had to be close enough to see those marked cards, to see the secrets to cheat. Here's what's truly telling. When that marked deck was removed, the defendant's entire strategy changed. The strategy changed, the winning changed, the defendant's luck changed, everything changed. Until that miracle finished. Those final hands, the final hands that sealed the $15 million. As Tracy Hancock told you today, those were trick hands. Members of the jury, those hands were the only thing that could result in this outcome. Alex Wong needed a hand big enough to go all in, and Tracy Hancock delivered. Finally, G, the giveaway. A total of $800,000. First, Exantis gives Hancock $50,000 right there at the table. Sure, let's call that a tip. But then he goes home, and he sends Hancock another $750,000. He wires it. Members of the jury, why wire it? Why not give it right there at the table? Why keep it secret? I mean, really think about it. That's like tipping your waitress $100 and then going back home and secretly Venmoing her a beach house. Members of the jury, to call that a tip, that's not argument. That's absurd. The defendant sat at that table for hours, looking 9 people in the eye, knowing that he had an unfair advantage, knowing that the cards were marked, knowing that the dealer was his accomplice. And today he got right up here and he tried to do the same to you. But there's a difference between those players and you. They couldn't see the marked cards, they couldn't see the bank records, they couldn't see the truth. You can. And you have. So show the defendant what justice looks like. Find the defendant guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Closing from the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. Could I request a brief time check?
Of course.
The counsel for AJ Xantis has 9 minutes and 32 seconds remaining. Counsel for the government has 7 minutes and 18 seconds remaining.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may I proceed?
Of course.
A plan, no player, would bet. Members of the jury, a game of poker is supposed to come down to the odds. Today you heard Mr. Exantis say that the game of poker at the Helmet 2024, he had no reason to believe it was rigged. See, you heard him say that he didn't communicate with the dealer, that he didn't meet with that dealer before the tournament, that he didn't plan to cheat in any way. See, members of the jury, the rigging that opposing counsel is accusing Mr. Exantis of, it's rigging that he would have never needed to win. It's a plan that no player would bet on. Now, when the plaintiff was just up here a few moments ago, I noticed that they didn't really mention their burden of proof much to you. I want to make it very clear. See, in this case, it was the plaintiff's burden to prove that Mr. Exantis was guilty of this crime. That means that they had to show you beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Exantis actually cheated in the Helmet 2024. Members of the jury, the prosecution wanted to hide that burden from you here in court today because it's the highest one in our legal system. It's not one that they were able to meet. That's because of three simple reasons. Mr. Exantis couldn't win with cards. He couldn't count on an electronic device. And the only proof of trick dealing, it's someone who admitted on the stand today that they've committed fraud. I want to take those one at a time. Mr. Exantis, he couldn't win with marked cards. You heard Mr. Exantis tell you himself he can only see those markings from 3 to 4 feet away. See, the plaintiffs, their own expert, they tried to dance around the truth in this case. Tried to dance around the fact that those card markings are too small to see at the end of the tournament. But let's look at how Mr. Exantis could have really used those cards that day. You saw members of the jury near the end of the game, when fewer and fewer players were playing, those marked cards couldn't be used. So if Mr. Exantis couldn't have won with those marked cards, why would he ever plan to play with them? Members of the jury, he wouldn't have. Because that's a plan no player would have bet. And that brings me to that next point. Mr. Exantis couldn't count on a foul. Members of the jury, you barely heard about any electronic devices here in court today other than the dealer at the Helmet tournament who committed fraud. He told you, oh, Mr. Exantis, he just happened to tell me his master plan to cheat in the tournament. You didn't hear about any electronic devices that were used about that tournament. You didn't hear any complaints of electronic devices. The expert in this case who watched that tournament for herself didn't tell you that Mr. Exantis used an electronic device at all. See, members of the jury, you didn't hear that because once again, it didn't happen. That brings me to that final point. See, the only proof in today's case of supposed trick dealing, that comes from a person who's committed fraud. Tracy Hancock, he told you in court today, walked up to the stand, looked you in the eyes, and told you, in 2024, I committed fraud. But then he also told you that that fraud claim is just being wiped off his record. That he's escaping 10 years in prison to testify for the prosecution to accuse Mr. Exantis of this crime. You heard that the supposed fraud conspiracy that he mentioned during his direct examination. You don't have any receipts of online communication. Don't have any footage of the meeting. Don't even have any receipts from the lunch that they supposedly had. See, members of the jury, is it reasonable to believe that a witness would lie to get 10 years of their life? Absolutely. Members of the jury, that's reasonable doubt. I want to talk about that tip that the prosecution mentioned. I want to make something very clear to you, members of the jury. Tipping your dealer in a poker game isn't illegal. During that poker game, Mr. Exantis had no reason to believe his dealer was doing anything illegal. So you can't find him guilty just because he gave him 5% of his winnings that night. 5% tip that Mr. Exantis told you himself wasn't unusual for him. See, members of the jury, if Mr. Exantis is making $75 million in poker games, why would he risk his whole life, his whole career, every bit of integrity he's built up over the past 30 years to cheat in a tournament that's not even worth half of his net worth? Why would he rig a game that he could win as the #1 ranked player in the whole world? Members of the jury, he wouldn't do that. Because the plaintiff's theory in this case, the plaintiff's supposed rigging, it's a plan that Mr. Exantis would have never used. It's a plan that wouldn't have won him the tournament. It's a plan that no player would have ever bet. That's why we're asking you to find Mr. Exantis not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Rebuttal?
Yes, Your Honor. Permission to proceed?
Of course, whenever you're ready.
Members of the jury, the defendant had a plan. A plan that no one could bet. And members of the jury, if there's anything that Tracy Hancock told you today that isn't corroborated by evidence, feel free to disregard it. But the thing is, members of the jury, every single thing that Mr. Hancock told you, there's proof of it. He told you that he provided marked cards. Here's a marked card. The defendant doesn't disagree that there were marked cards in the deck. He told you that he was paid $800, that the defendant offered to pay him $750,000. Well, you heard about a wire transfer of $750,000 from the defendant to Tracy Hancock. Now, members of the jury, my opposing counsel, they want to point to this diagram and tell you, oh, he couldn't have used those cards to cheat. Members of the jury, by this point, sure, he may not have been able to see the cards, but those cards were removed at this point. At this point, they had moved on to phase 2 because they had a plan that no one could bet on, a plan to rig the game. And a rigged game, it's a real fraud. So find the defendant guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. If we can get a round of applause for both. start with the government. Playing Karthik is rising senior Jenna Almator from Clifton High School in New Jersey. Playing our new witness, Tracy Hancock, is CJ Smith from California. Philip, is that great? And if my information is correct, CJ is off to the University of Chicago in the fall. And on the defense here, this is a first in Gladiator history. We had our first understudy playing a witness in the final round. So he is a Gladiator next year from New York East Islip High School's Michael Galina. All right, I'll ask our judges to, I'll start with Lauren, and ask you to just quickly introduce yourself and just give one piece of either feedback or favorite moment from the trial, and then we will announce our winner.
My name is Lauren Lutton. I am a trial attorney here in Atlanta and an adjunct professor at UGA Law teaching advocacy. I would say favorite moment was on cross of the felon. On your cross, I think maybe, I don't know if this is part of the problem, but it seemed like it wasn't when he said something about having a second rig deck and you kind of pounced on it. I thought that was a really fun cross moment right there.
I'm Maggie Ringel-Shooty. I am a trial attorney here in Atlanta, off to the side of the base from Warren, and I am the coach of the Georgia State undergrad mock trial team here as well. I think my favorite moment in this trial was actually the direct of Hancock, like knowing that was the new witness, and then the cross too, like all of that, seeing y'all put that together in an hour, that's awesome.
I'm Glenn Halveney-Bauer, a longtime director of the Furman University mock trial program. I loved the back and forth on the closing arguments. I just thought that was really awesome. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Naman. I'm not an attorney. I work a job, a non-attorney job, but I did Georgia Tech mock trial and high school mock trial for a few years. My favorite part of the round was just how responsive everyone was. I know, like, thinking back to, like, we spent, like, months and months practicing the case, and then you guys got, like, a witness an hour ago, and it was already great, and great jokes all around, so I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
I'm Branson Culp. I'm a member of the Furman University mock trial team, and I really thought the witnesses were funny. Y'all had some good jokes, and both of the attorneys did a great job of balancing that, responding to it, and letting them have the spotlight without getting totally drowned out by the witness, both on direct and cross. So good job, guys.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben. I'm a rising senior at Georgia Tech. I'm on the mock trial team there. I've done mock trial since high school, and I was also in Gladiator when I was younger. I'd say I really can't pick a favorite moment from this trial. You guys, everyone, both attorneys and witnesses, all of you guys did a really good job.
Hey, I'm Sandeep. I graduated from Georgia Tech, also from mock trial there. Really I have nothing to say except I hope all 5 of you do mock trial in college.
My name is Lillian. I am a rising 4th year at Georgia Tech. Also did Gladiator a few years back, and I mean, truly this was an incredible round. I think my favorite part was how flexible and adaptable all of you were, despite the fact that there were so many changes that were thrown your way, like less than an hour before. So you all did a fantastic job with that, and you should be very proud of yourselves.
Hello, my name is Veronica Richardson. I'm an attorney here in Atlanta as well, and I'm also a professor at UGA. Similar to my colleague here, I am not too cool for school. I just have a migraine. So that's the reason why I have on sunglasses.
Or your trick sunglasses.
You could do that.
Right. Apparently, yes. But that being said, I like the witnesses as well. I think the accents and the jokes are always a fun part to hear. I did a lot of mock trial, and I always look at closing arguments as well. So I really enjoyed the closing arguments and the rebuttals. So good job, everybody.
We'll quickly introduce our a bit more information about the advocates. You've heard both their names, so I'll tell you where they're from. Both of these advocates are rising seniors, so they just finished their junior year, going into their senior year of high school. Starting with the government, Becca Bainbridge from Central Carolina Homeschoolers. Journey Marlowe from Rice High School. Our judges have spoken. The helmet and the champion of Gladiator 2025, the last Gladiator in Atlanta, Georgia, is Becca Bainbridge. Congratulations to both of you. You were both fantastic. I hope that you keep doing mock trial, but I also hope, more importantly, that no matter what you do going forward, whether you become lawyers or not, that you keep using your skills. Your ability to command this room for the last hour and 45 minutes was truly impressive. I echo everything that they said. Your ability to use the changes, both your direct and your cross, with the new witness were excellent. You should go very proud of yourselves. I hope you all had a good time. And I don't want to necessarily rush it, but we're going to take some pictures, but then we got to go announce some awards for the online competition starting at 4:15. So congratulations.
LinkedIn. Okay. So Veronica Richardson, my firm is Richardson Law. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I'll go ahead and look you up now. Yeah. Connect with you just so. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. And then just send me a message, okay? Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. No problem.